Chapter 7. I hear Belle bellowing in old Mr. Jolly's field when I'm weeding in the cucumber patch. I think she's calling to her mama, Anna May, and I can tell Anna May thinks so too, because she looks up from the clover she's munching and goes and has herself a look. Then I go have myself a look. I'm wondering where old Mr. Jolly is and why he isn't doing something about Belle. No wonder Belle is yelling her head off. She's standing in the briar patch all tangled up. I feel ashamed of old Mr. Jolly. He's not taking very good care of Belle. He let his fence get so bad without fixing it, and now Belle has wandered down to the briar patch alone and gotten herself all stuck. She is bellowing. I told Papa that Belle would come to no good living with old Mr. Jolly. Anna May starts mooing, and I know she's telling Belle, "What the dickens are you doing in that briar patch?" I know this because I have listened to Anna May for so long that I can tell what she is saying, even when I don't put my ear to her heart. She's that kind of cow. She tells things like they are. If she's hungry, she tells you. What are you taking so long for? If she does not want to be milked, she kicks the bucket. If she is clear worn out from all the milk she's been making, she'll go have herself a good nap under the butternut tree, and she won't get up for nobody. When you find her and yell, "What are you doing under that butternut tree?" she will tell you she's taking a nap. Whatever does it look like? Anna May is that kind of cow. Now Anna May is bellowing and Belle is bawling, and I wonder where old Mr. Jolly is, why he hasn't done something about Belle being stuck in the briar patch. "Oh, Belle," I say, hurrying across the road and over the fence that runs on old Mr. Jolly's side of the road. I can tell, even before I get to Belle, that it's worse than I was thinking. Briars tangle around her legs, and there's blood, and deer flies are buzzing all over the hurting places. As soon as I get her up, she stomps around and gets herself even more tangled, and then a dozen flies start pestering me. A cow caught in a briar patch is one of the saddest things you will ever see. Belle's soft honey brown legs are wrapped up in thorns, and somehow she's gotten one of the big branches stuck in on her back and another on her chest. My heart is sobbing just looking at her. Anna May waits for me to tell her how Belle got stuck in that briar patch. I'm still not sure yet, but I know it's all old Mr. Jolly's fault. Papa says a cow needs a big bell. Anna May has one. We hear her when she walks around, and it's easy to find her on those days she decides she wants to eat clover for a little longer and not come down to the barn. Old Mr. Jolly never bothered with a bell, so I have nothing to hold on to. I yell up at the house to see where he is, but even the windows are shut up tight. "Where is he?" I ask Belle. She is too upset to have a conversation about old Mr. Jolly. I grab around her neck and try to pull her because while I've been standing here, she's gotten her head all tangled up in the briars too. "You have no sense," I tell her. She starts bawling her head off after that, and I tell her I'm sorry for saying that, but when you think about it, you know I'm right. I go behind her then and give her a big push and get briars caught around my hand, and I start bleeding something awful. Then I start jumping around and sucking on my fingers while Belle stands snorting mad that I'm not helping her quicker. I push her again, and she takes a baby step forward, then stops and starts bawling like a baby. Then Anna May calls over, "What is taking so long?" "You better get yourself out of there before I count to 10, I tell Belle. I give her my most terrible mad look. She watches me for a moment, then Anna May yells that she better start moving, and I give her another push. I push again and start thinking about how maybe I should go hunt for a branch to give Belle a you-know-what on the backside. But when Belle looks over at me like she knows what I'm thinking, I feel ashamed of myself for even thinking about a you-know-what, and so I walk around and gaze right into her soft molasses eyes. "Look, Belle, some things you just have to do yourself. That's what Mama tells me. Now, I can help you a little bit, but get some of these briars off of you, and if you'll stand still. But you have to do the rest yourself. I can give you a little push, but you have got to get yourself out of this briar patch. Do you understand me?" Belle shakes her head, and I know she's telling me her legs are hurting and I need to hurry up. So I reach up and pat her neck and start pulling the big briar off her back. And while I'm doing this, I tell her how pretty she is this morning. And when I'm done telling her that, I move over and start pulling the briar off of her chest. And that's when I tell her it's almost time for her to think about that nice, cool spot over by the stone wall where she likes to lie down, right in the middle of buttercups, and have herself a nap. Then I'm so careful pulling the briars off her front legs and her back legs, but I still get myself stuck pretty bad. Anna May bawls again, and Belle decides Enough is enough. She runs like a nervous Nellie out of that briar patch, and before I can even get myself untangled, she is at the barn. I run after her, and when I get to her, I'm ready to give her my stay out of the briar patch lecture, but I think she already knows that one on her own. I let her stand there for a minute and go find out what's the wrong with old Mr. Jolly and how come he's taking such bad care of Belle. He's not in the barn or around the chicken coop. And then I go knock on the pretty loud on the front door and no one comes. I go look around the back door and kick it for a while. I look in the windows and see all his dishes are washed and put up on the rack to dry, and the cook stove is polished, and there's a new cloth on the table. Come to think of it, even his windows are washed. Huh, I tell Belle when I catch up to her by the stone wall. What do you think about that? She doesn't say much, so I tell her why doesn't she come home with me, since it looks like old Mr. Jolly doesn't know two bits about taking care of cows. Anna May bellows as soon as she hears us coming across the road. Belle hurries over to her and nestles up to her, happy as a fiddle. Anna May is making moon eyes at Belle and licking her. I press my face against Belle, smelling her soft neck. She's very happy. Sometimes you just need your mama, I tell her.